Hello. Today we'll talk about labeling and claims for dietary supplements, specifically botanical supplements, because those are the subject of interest for us. So the easiest way to tell whether a product you're holding in your hands is food or a supplement is to find the label, which according to the law in the United States has to be attached to the product. If it's food, your label will say nutritional facts in bold letters on top of the label. And then it will list information which is strictly regulated about the nutritional value and nutritional content of this specific food. Nutritional facts can only be put on foods, and therefore you know you have food. Now, if the product you have in your hand says supplement facts, that means that you are looking at the dietary supplement. It can be a vitamin, for example, as on the top label, or it can be a botanical supplement or amino acid supplement, but it will say supplement facts and then list the information which is somewhat more loosely regulated than the information which has to be on the nutritional facts label for foods, and we'll talk about it in subsequent slides. So labeling of foods is primarily regulated today by the Nutrition Labeling and Education Act of 1990. It permits the use of labels that characterize the level of nutrients in foods, and therefore it has to specifically contain nutrient content claims, as they say, which have been authorized by FDA and follow the FDA regulations. It is important to understand that only those ingredients, only those nutrients which have established daily value or daily intake dose, we'll talk about it later, can be listed on the label. Now, let's talk about the specific differences between the nutritional facts labels for food and supplement facts label for dietary supplements, which will of course include botanicals. Probably the most important consideration there is that for the nutritional facts label associated with foods, you are only permitted to list these ingredients which have either reference daily intake value or daily reference value established by FDA. So only most important essential nutrients for people have those established values. And there's a minimal number of those ingredients which are required to be listed. For example, you have to list total fat, break it down into saturated and trans fat, cholesterol, sodium, total carbohydrates, and protein. And then you are now allowed to list vitamin D, not allowed, you must list, vitamin D, and calcium and iron as micronutrients. You used to have to list vitamin C and vitamin A. You are no longer have to list them, but you can. You can add things to the nutrition facts as long as they have reference daily intake value. For the supplement facts, it's very different. You have to list the ingredients which are there, whether they have reference daily intake values or not. And actually, you are required specifically to indicate which ingredients are in your, for example, botanical dietary supplement. If you look at the label at the bottom of the slide, you see that the product you're buying is a herbal blend, which is made of equal parts of rose hips, and it says flower. You have to list a part of the plant from which your extract comes from, not only its name, not only a specific ingredient as botanical, and Echinacea purpurea extract, and this is all whole herb, so all above ground, I assume, or maybe with roots. That's not sure how you have to label it, has been used to prepare this extract. Interestingly, again, nutritional facts for foods actually not allowed to put the dietary ingredient from which this food is made. For example, if it's broccoli or it's lettuce or it's tomato, you're not going to see the name of the plant on the nutritional facts label. Only the minimal amount of information required by FDA, all those key ingredients which have RDIs. So if it's tomato or lettuce or something else, or wheat, you will see obviously this information on the outside of the package, front of the package usually, but not inside the nutritional facts. In supplements, you have to see those ingredients which go in, whether they have RDI or they do not. Also for foods, you actually are permitted to use zero. Okay. For example, the label on top has no cholesterol, but because cholesterol has to be a part of the nutritional facts label, you have to say cholesterol 0. For dietary supplements, of course, you don't need to list ingredients which have 0 content. So this is somewhat confusing, but this is the law. And again, exactly, the law is changing all the time. The lawsuits are filed all the time. FDA sends warning letters to manufacturers who they believe actually violate the strict labeling rules for foods or supplements, and this goes on. And so there's really a gray area in between what you are supposed to put on labels and what you cannot. But the minimum required for food is very much established. For nutritional facts, if you look at the label on top, this is what is really minimally required to be there. And the last thing, of course, for both foods and nutritional facts label and supplement facts label, you have to put serving size. For dietary supplements, a little bit more like dose, and how many servings per container you have. That information should be on both types of labels. So let's talk about the other claims which you can use on the package. Obviously, if you're selling botanical dietary supplements, you would like your claims to be more related to health. And if you sell food, you want your claims to be more related to nutritive value. And this is really what FDA requires. Therefore, the primary difference between the types of structure function claims allowed for food versus dietary supplement is that for food, your claims on the package, if it has nutritional facts label, you should limit whatever else you put on the package to talking about taste, aroma, and nutritive value. Again, nutritive value only exists for those ingredients which have RDI, recommended daily intake. So for example, let's say that you would like to sell grape polyphenol extract, which has very high antioxidant value. As we know, grape polyphenols are very strong antioxidants. Can you sell it as food? This is the first question. The answer is probably not. Why not? Because in addition to all regulations which we already discussed, things which are allowed to be sold as food in the US has to be listed, or has to be what is called GRAS list, or generally regarded as safe. Okay, if this product, grape polyphenols, specifically are not on this list, you'll have difficulty selling it as food anyhow. And then you have to apply to FDA to put it into the GRAS list. So let's say you apply to FDA and FDA allowed you to put grape polyphenols on a GRAS list, therefore you can sell it as food. So you're going to use the nutritional facts label. Can you say contains certain amount of polyphenols on this label? The answer is no, you cannot. Why why you cannot list polyphenols on the nutritional facts label? Because polyphenols at present do not have recommended daily intake values because they're not really considered essential nutrients. So if you want to put that on the label, you should only sell it as dietary supplements because dietary supplements do not have to be on a GRAS list. And dietary supplements, in the supplement label, you can actually say contains certain amount of polyphenols because you are not restricted to ingredients which have recommended daily intake value. And what is really very important, again, even if you're a dietary supplement, you can make structure function claim which is related to the normal functioning of the body, as we will learn later. But you absolutely should stay away from any kind of claims which are disease claims, which imply that your product can cure, prevent, diagnose, or mitigate any disease. You absolutely cannot say this supplement shrinks tumors. If you say that, this is a drug, and you have to follow absolutely different regulatory route. So those are somewhat difficult regulations to understand. There's a lot of gray area in between. And this is a very dynamic process, but this is where the use regulations stand today. So what kind of use or purpose claims can dietary supplement have? For example, your botanical dietary supplement. Well, first of all, you can put nutrient content claims. You can't put the levels of nutrients in your dietary supplement on your supplement label, like high calcium, low sodium, that you can use. Okay. The really biggest issue is the structure function claims. You can only and only describe the role of your product, of your dietary ingredient, in affecting the normal structural function of human body. For example, you can say calcium builds strong bones, but you cannot say in your dietary supplement label that calcium will prevent osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis is a disease, and you imply that it can prevent or cure disease. Cannot be done. Only normal function of the body, normal function of the joints, that you can say for your calcium product. Are you allowed to actually make health claims or qualified health claims? The difference there is quite subtle, for foods or for dietary supplements. And again, the answer is probably yes, actually yes. But to mention a disease on your claim, you have to prove to FDA with a rigor which is only reserved for drugs that actually this claim is true. And that usually involves the very thorough regimen of clinical trials, and only then you will be allowed to do that. So for foods, it is sometimes makes sense. We'll talk about it in the functional food section. But if you're selling a dietary supplement and you want to say that it cures the disease, you have to spend so much money actually proving it through clinical development that it probably doesn't make sense to sell it as a dietary supplement. Then you really want to sell it as a drug, which is a much, much higher value product, and now it can be prescribed by physicians. So that's why you really don't see qualified health claims on dietary supplements. If you want to go through the rigorous confirmation routine and clinical trials, you probably want to develop it as a drug and apply to FDA to get it actually registered as a drug. So let's talk a little bit more about the structure function claims which you can put on a dietary supplement. Firstly, as we already mentioned, your product can only be intended to use to maintain normal structure and function of the body. Disease or disease condition cannot be mentioned. It may describe that it helps general well-being if a customer takes certain dose of it. Dose has to be there. Again, just to repeat, may not claim to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. This is for drugs. And if you make a structure function claim, for example, maintain normal joints, if FDA asks, you should have facts which confirm that. But the scientific rigor with this benefits have to be proven is just so much less than for regular drugs. So a lot of people get away, as we know, making structure function claims on botanical supplements that they maintain normal function of this or that, normal carbohydrate metabolism, without truly having a very rigorous scientific studies. FDA at this point does not pursue the sources of this information very much. They're mainly concerned about safety because remember, FDA regulates dietary supplements as supplements to the diet, not as anything which is used actually to improve human health. Well, you may ask what to do then with all those claims which you see on the packages, both foods and maybe dietary supplements made from some of them, that eating fruits and vegetables is good for your health and is healthy, and it specifically talks about health. Well, those very general claims which relate to certain categories of foods, as long as they have evidence behind them and in nutritional sciences, are not truly considered structure function claims or disease claims. They're considered what we call dietary guidance, a well-known established facts which your packaging materials just restate. They have to be evidence-based, but FDA will consider that the goodness of eating lots of fruits and vegetables is evidence-based, and therefore it can be mentioned. And if you want to, let's say, market a new variety of vegetable or fruit, again, you can make those general dietary guidance statements on your new variety just because, in general, eating fruits and vegetables is considered to be healthy. So let's talk about allowable structure function claims for dietary supplements. Again, like your botanical dietary supplements. And remember, as we discussed earlier, if it's food, the claims we're going to be talking about are not really appropriate because if it's food, it should only talk about the nutritional benefits. It cannot talk anything about maintaining normal health, according to FDA. So dietary supplements represent this, again, gray area, regulatory area, which Duché has established, which is really between foods and drugs. So for example, structure function claims can say helps maintain normal cholesterol level, but it cannot say lowers cholesterol because this is really a treatment for the disease. Maintains healthy lung function. It's okay, but it certainly cannot cure pneumonia or maintain healthy lung function in smokers. Okay? Provide relief of occasional constipation is allowed. This is truly a gray area, but those claims FDA do allow. But you cannot say provide relief to chronic constipation because chronic constipation is considered disease. I know this is really strange, but this is what the laws say. While occasional constipation is sort of normal for the body, and therefore it's just to maintain normal function of the body. And so forth. Suppresses appetite to aid weight loss is okay. Support the immune system. You see a lot of it supports normal, healthy, whatever. That is allowed, particularly now for the COVID times. Support the immune system claims will sell your product. For the relief of illness. Why? Because occasional sleeplessness is normal. But chronic, serious difficulty in falling asleep is more the disease. Again, this is very gray, and sometimes the differences will be only established in court, what you're allowed and what you're not allowed to do, because FDA can send you a letter requiring you to remove the product, and then you're going to hire lawyers, and this is the litigious system we have in the US. And then the courts will decide whether this is a structure function claim which relates to normal functions of the body or it's a disease claim. Okay, and you're going to get all kinds of depositions from the experts and spend a lot of money. So we just have to be careful when we think about which structure function claims we can put on our botanical dietary supplements. So let's say you've discovered a botanical product which you believe is really good for humanity. How do you decide which regulatory category will you enter to sell your product, to market your product to the general public? Is it going to be a food? Is it going to be a dietary supplement? Is it going to be a drug, prescription drug? Well, according to the US FDA, the intended use of your product, intended use, what you want to use it for, is the only consideration which defines the regulatory category you will enter with it. For example, as we discussed, if your botanical solely helps good nutrition and provide calories and really doesn't have obvious health benefits, whether as curing or preventing a disease or maintaining normal structure and function of the body, then it's food. It has nutritive value. Now, if, for example, you believe that your botanical will maintain normal cardiovascular health, will help you to maintain normal blood pressure, normal carbohydrate metabolism, normal functioning of joints in your body. If that's the intended use, and it is a food-like substance which you will actually market in pills, remember you cannot, if it's dietary supplement, you have to use a form which is somewhat different from food, so it cannot be packaged in a big bottle with supplement label. It has to be primarily marketed as pill or as a powder, then you can sell it as a dietary supplement. However, if your botanical can cure or prevent a disease, cancer, diabetes, COVID-19, then you should apply for developing it as a prescription drug. And actually, there's interesting examples of a single product used in all three different categories, depending on the intended use. And this is omega-3 fatty acids, for example, from fish or from flax, for example, which is a plant source of omega-3 fatty acids. You're allowed to use omega-3 fatty acids to fortify your foods. Because it doesn't have recommended RDI, you cannot put it on your nutrition label, but you can probably mention it somewhere in the package. It's fortified with 3 omega fatty acids because it is actually been approved as GRAS. Remember, foods have to be GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Well, omega-3 fatty acids has been actually approved from some sources. Again, I don't want to get into many details, as GRAS ingredients. So you can add it to your food. You can fortify your foods, but you cannot make any disease-related claims if you add it to your food. Obviously, there are dietary supplements on the market with plant omega-3 fatty acids or with fish or krill omega-3 fatty acids. They have to be marketed mainly as pills and powders, again, only orally administered, and you can then make structure function claims, like healthy heart claim, cardiovascular health claim, maintaining normal structural function of the body. And actually, there is a drug which is based on high dose of pure omega-3 fatty acids called Lavazza, which can be prescribed to lower triglycerides and treat hyperlipidemia. Has been approved through rigorous preclinical and clinical development by FDA as drug. It can be legally prescribed. Same active ingredient, 3 different ways to market it. This is what developed regulatory system provides for you. A lot of confusion, but also some order. So let's look at this from a slightly different perspective. Let's say that a chocolate chip cookie, which you just baked, can actually cure rheumatoid arthritis. We did some experiments, and sure enough, it can do it. I don't know whether you used it on your mother-in-law, or your parents, or your siblings, whatever, but you believe it can cure rheumatoid arthritis. So what can you do? Can you market it as food and then put on the package that now your chocolate cookie can cure rheumatoid arthritis? The answer is, of course, no. The only claims you can put on your chocolate cookie, no matter what it does, are the nutritional claims, are the nutrient content claims, and list those ingredients which only have the RDI. And if you make any kind of structure function claims, you better be sure that those are nutrient content claims. They're not even structure function claims related to a certain normal structure of the body. Now, if you want to say that it improves joint health, which is somewhat can be related by an educated consumer to rheumatoid arthritis, you can actually market it as a dietary supplement. And the only problem you will have is you probably have to grind it into a powder and put it in the capsules, because it cannot look like chocolate cookie. Remember, food has to look different from dietary supplements. Dietary supplements cannot mislead you in their presentation, mislead you into thinking that they are foods. But you can put it in a capsule, and you can then put maintains normal joint health, which is a structure function claim allowed for dietary supplement, and then you have to put supplement label on it. Now, if you really want your chocolate cookie to cure and prevent rheumatoid arthritis, and you want to sell it with the label, clearly label the package as something which can cure it, you have to follow the drug testing and drug regulation and drug registration route, which is lengthy and expensive process. Same chocolate cookies, intended use what is really regulated. So you will have to go through preclinical and clinical development if your intended use is to prevent and cure the disease. But for that, FDA will allow you to actually put this claim on the chocolate cookies. And for drugs, the form of administration can be variable. Potentially, it can look even as a chocolate cookie, but you will have to do all the toxicology and preclinical development and metabolism and other things we'll discuss in the clinical core for this class to register it as a drug with FDA. So let's go through a small exercise. Let's look at two products which are shown on the slide. A can, which has a nutrition facts label on it, which means it is sold as food, and 5-hour energy drink, which actually has a supplement facts label. Therefore, it is being sold in the US as dietary supplement. So let's think about it. What is wrong if you truly follow the language, the regulatory language of FDA, and try to be a purist? Well, if you look at a can, it's a food because it has nutritional facts label. And yet, it has all those claims about a rock star energy, great athletes, and so forth. Claims which great performance, great claims which have nothing to do with nutritional claims, the nutritional values of this. Remember, if it's food, your claim should relate to nutritional value, not structure function as maintaining some other health properties of your body. Being a rock star, being an athlete, and having high energy can be a structure function claim associated with supplements, but it should not be a claim associated with foods. So therefore, some rules are violated. The claims on the can are not really nutritive claims. They don't relate to the content of essential nutrients which have RDI values. Now, what's wrong with the supplement bottle of energy drink? Although you obviously see lots of those in the stores, and FDA turns a blind eye on them. Well, what do you think? I think that this product is packaged as food. It has a look of food. It is pretending to be food. And remember, if it's a dietary supplement, it should not look like food. It should not be packaged as food. It should be primarily supplied in the form of pills or in the form of powders or extract. But this clearly mimics the looks of food. And yet it is being sold in the United States, which, if you're a purist, is a violation of FDA rules. But at this point, this violation is not being called. So what about plain and simple fraud? You actually see so much of it on TV and advertising booklets, different brochures you can get by mail, many ways to spread it, to spread this fake news. Well, actually, consumer fraud and fraudulent advertising in the US is regulated by Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, and it is not allowed. It is illegal to make misleading or wrong claims about your product. So I'm not going to go through all those things because you see them, but for example, green coffee extract has been marketed as a great aid to lose weight with really no scientific facts behind it. You just see some things which appeared in the news and TV and whatnot, and even doctor approved. So beware of this. This is a big problem, particularly with dietary supplements. You have it also with foods. Totally unsubstantiated claims. Remember, structure function claims, even if you say it helps to maintain normal fat content of your body, okay, this has to be substantiated. You cannot just say that your dietary supplement helps to maintain normal weight. You have to have some rationale and some scientific reason for it if somebody comes and asks. But unfortunately, fraud is everywhere, and in dietary supplement markets in the US, it's quite prevalent, and this is something which FTC has to be more cognizant about. So please beware of all the fraudulent claims you see on the internet, in social media, newspapers, and whatnot. Of course, internet is a great source of delivering information, but in many cases it delivers just fake news, and dietary supplement claims can just be fake. Well, the regulatory agency which in the US regulates fraudulent advertising and misleading claims is called Federal Trade Commission, or FTC. FDA is also can get involved in the fraudulent claims if they're totally unsubstantiated. And FTC authority over the wrong or misleading advertising actually overlaps to a certain extent with FDA. So while FDA just authorizes the claims, FTC is supposed to be regulating honest advertising. So again, please beware. Dietary supplements is an area where a lot of fake news, fake information is being spread through social media and other communication means. And try to do good science. Try to look at different sources. Try to talk to several people before you make your own conclusion about safety of or use or effectiveness or structure function claim of a particular dietary supplement. So thank you very much, and we're going to move soon to the next lecture.